So, you wanted an open world Star Wars games? It looks like you're not going to be getting your open world Star Wars game. It has been confirmed that EA has canceled the a new open world Star Wars game that they had planned, and I'm not really all too shocked about this move that EA took to cancel this game. I'm pretty sure I know what happened in development. Pretty much what happened in development, EA was sitting at a round table and was like, this open world game is a little bit too good, and fans are probably going to play this game for so many hours that we really can't milk them dry. And EA is a company, as you guys know, that likes to milk their consumers dry when it comes to microtransactions, and that's pretty much what we have here. We have a case where EA is just super greedy when it comes to money. They don't care about their fan base. They don't really care about people buying their games. They just want to milk them dry for all they got. If you remember, I think 2 years ago, I want to say, when they came out with Battlefront 2 from EA, that pretty much was littered with microtransactions, and a lot of people weren't happy about the way they handled their microtransactions in Battlefront 2. And then pretty much a couple months after or so, they had to remove a lot of the microtransactions from that game, or they had to remove them completely because fans were not happy, and it became a big disaster for Battlefront 2. And that's pretty much how it went. And you guys know EA is one company that'll keep milking you dry for money as long as they put microtransactions into the game. And if they were to go ahead and make this open world Battlefront game, which we all know a lot of people would like this game, I'm even sure people who aren't fans of Star Wars games would even like this game. They would even go ahead and buy this game. But since I'm sure it doesn't have an online multiplayer aspect, and they really can't find a very good way to put competent microtransactions in this game, of course they're going to sit at a round table and pretty much just say, well, let's cancel the project. It really does suck that when it comes to Star Wars games, it always sucks that EA is behind some of the latest Star Wars games. I know the Battlefront 1 game, a lot of people really didn't care all too much about. Battlefront 2 might have been a good game, but they littered it with microtransactions. A lot of the things EA does are just very questionable. It kind of also sucks that we really don't have another dev behind Star Wars games. It just seems like every time a Star Wars project comes out, and especially from EA, it's just not that great, and it does suck. There's nothing fans of Star Wars can really do. You just got to know that every time a Star Wars game is going to come out, it's going to be crap. But we all know this game was going to be one of those games that wasn't going to be the exception of a Star Wars game. It wasn't going to be your traditional multiplayer littered with microtransactions type of Star Wars game. It was actually going to be a very good Star Wars game. Could it have been a bad game? Yes, it could have actually been a bad game, but I believe without a doubt it actually would have sold very well. It pretty much would have printed money for EA, so I really don't know why EA canceled this game. That's really just why I think EA just decided to cancel this game altogether. I really think they decided to cancel it just because they really wanted to work on more microtransaction-y type of games and things like that. It's just the sad truth with EA. EA's one of the few gaming companies that's leaning towards more of just ripping people off, taking their money and things like that. We probably know in the future something bad's going to happen to EA, and they won't be around too much longer if they keep pulling these stunts they're doing with their franchises, with their games, microtransactions and things like that. It's just everything that EA is doing is just a disaster. Now EA is actually working on more Star Wars games since they do have ties with Disney and things like that. But why don't we find a way to remove EA from the Star Wars franchise? EA really needs to be moved away from the Star Wars franchise. That's really the problem. I'm sure another dev would actually like to actually work on these Star Wars games, and they would actually give it the love and care that the Star Wars franchise actually deserves. It always sucks that the movies typically get good movies, but the games always get axed in some way with either with bad microtransactions or the games itself just aren't that good. So it does suck that fans of Star Wars, if you want a good, competent Star Wars game, you're pretty much not going to get a good, confident Star Wars game because EA is always behind this. Now, it looks like a lot of people on the internet weren't actually happy about this whole thing, hearing that the new EA open world Star Wars game was going to be canceled, and a lot of people are tweeting about it. A lot of people are just pissed, and honestly, as a Star Wars fan and things like that, I can't really blame them because we haven't really had a really super great, fantastic Star Wars game, let alone a good, single, competent, single-player Star Wars game. I think the last Star Wars game, like I said, was Battlefront 2, and Battlefront 2 was a multiplayer game, but it was littered with microtransactions, which does suck. Actually, there is one company out there that would like to work on the Star Wars franchise. If you know Devolver Digital actually posted, I think, somewhere on the internet about how they would actually want to work on the next Star Wars game, and they actually said give them the resume. Are they actually going to be is Disney actually going to take Devolver's Digital suggestion and actually have them work on Star Wars games? I don't know about that, but for right now, it seems like EA is still going to be the main masterminds behind the next couple of Star Wars games, and it looks like the Star Wars franchise is just not going to get better from here on out until EA pretty much stops making these Star Wars games, because it's all EA's fault about how all this stuff's going down, how they're canceling games, putting too much microtransactions in video games and things like that. So too bad, Star Wars fans, you're not getting your open world single player Star Wars game, which pretty much sucks. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.